Hello, you dirty potters. How are you today? I'm going to show you something that I'm not proud of, and you have to promise in the comments below that you can't make fun of me for it. I have always made the statement that I am a dog person. Not in the way that I hate cats, but in the way that I like Star Trek more than Star Wars. If you break down Star Wars, it's kind of just opera with light up swords and telekinesis, and if you took away the telekinesis and the light up swords, you would kind of just have opera, and I'm not into that. Star Trek, however, is amazing, only because it's one of the few futures in which you assume that humans not only survive, but they got better. Humans somehow got their together, and that's kind of the way I feel about cats. I don't hate Star Wars, I just clearly like Star Trek way better. I know I made some people angry by saying that, but I swear to you, if you just killed off the Skywalker clan, it would have solved so many problems in the galaxy. I'm serious. Like, the majority of Star Wars, even in the actual lore outside the movies, because that's the argument, people, oh, you didn't read the lore. I read the lore. Look, if you just killed off the Skywalkers themselves, you would have solved so many things. Anyway, this
Sussy baka
is Keesha. Keesha's my cat. Keesha's not technically my cat. Technically speaking, a group of kittens were born underneath my house. Because I live in Sacramento, California, all of our houses are raised up because we often, or at least we had, flooding a long time ago. So almost all of our houses are somewhat like up on a hill. Almost all of our driveways are a couple of feet up until you reach the house. So some of our patios or other things happen to have like an underside to them. We don't really have basements for that reason. We just have little spaces with undersides on them. Because of that, raccoons and things of that nature live underneath those things. And guess where Keesha was born? But one day I woke up at 6 a.m. to get to work by 7 or 7:30 a.m. and well, it kind of played out like this.
meow.
Who are you?
Meow.
What?
Meow.
Dude, I have to go to work. Get out of
Meow. Meow.
here. This happened so many times in between the stray cat and I that I started calling her Keesha, and she started responding to the name Keesha. So when I saw Keesha, I would just say, Keesha, come get your food, and she would come get her food. On top of that, now she's gotten so used to me semi-domesticating her, even though she's an outside cat, that anytime I open my garage door, which I usually do when I work on my pottery and stuff just for air circulation, she knows the sound. She knows Daddy's got num-nums. Sooner or later, she started getting very, very comfortable with me. To the point where I have footage of her just roaming around my studio as I'm doing pottery work. And even though, again, I am not a cat person, I essentially have an outside cat, which was indeed born on my property. So, as much as I would like to fight it, Keesha's my cat. The horrible thing, though, the thing that we really can't abide on this channel is the fact that Keesha's food bowls are made out of metal?
This is the worst
I know.
thing I've ever
Keesha shouldn't be
seen in my
eating
life.
out of metal bowls. Someone should probably make her beautifully made ceramic, but porcelain, if not at least stoneware bowls. If only we knew someone who could do that. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem, it's me. So I'm gonna make a couple of handcrafted bowls for Keesha the cat. And for anyone who's following along at home, or if you want to make some for your own pet, there's a couple of things that I would consider thinking about before making something specifically for a pet, because I've done commissions like this before. Number one, there's a height requirement based on the relative size of the animal. For example, when you make a dog bowl that's only this large, but your dog is super tall, they have to crux their neck down in order to eat their food. That's not really comfortable. In fact, a lot of people buy these little stilts and put the dog food bowls a little higher so that the pet doesn't have to crook their neck down. But we're making this for Keesha the cat. She's relatively small. She only needs 1 or 2 inches of height. Because of that, I can't really make the walls of the bowl too high. They need to be easily accessible for a pet of that size. So I can only make the walls maybe about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches max tall. Otherwise, if the cat's only this big, she's gonna have to go over it somehow, and this is gonna strain her even more. I want it to be easily accessible for the cat. Number two, the bowl needs to be relatively heavy in comparison to regular bowls that you and I would eat out of. This is for an outside cat, which means I'm going to be putting the bowls outside. If I put the bowls outside and it gets windy and this thing weighs less than a pound, guess what's gonna happen to the bowl? On top of that, I've On top of that, I do know if I leave food outside, other larger creatures are probably going to eat out of this as well. Once Keisha's done with her food, the scraps will go to other creatures. And some of those creatures do be raccoons. I don't want to make it ultra heavy, but I want to make it heavy enough to where if they're eating out of it, the bowl doesn't scoot across the floor. I also want to make it heavy enough to where another animal can't come pick it up and take it away somewhere. So I'm essentially going to make something kind of like a half plate. Some of you might call this a blate, where it's like a bowl plate. But we're going to come here. I'm not going to go all the way down to the point where I have even a half an inch from the bottom of the clay to the wheel head. I'm in fact going to leave about an inch, if not more there, and start pulling from that area. And I do know that this is going to shrink a tad bit, as all clay does, from the greenware to the fully fired process. So I'm going to make this a little bit wider. I also want it to have a good center of gravity. So let's make sure this comes up a little bit. And let's give it some texture while we're at it. This way, it's easier for me to grab as I'm feeding her. This isn't too bad, but I do feel like this is a bit too high. If I put the camera at a different angle, you can probably see what I'm talking about. This is maybe an inch and a half high. I don't really need it to be this tall. So we're going to cut off a little bit from the top. I will say, however, I do think this is very thick, and that's kind of what I like. Not just for the cat bowl, kind of like in general, but in this case, it is the cat bowl. Of course, we're going to round out our edges, and just because I'm an elitist, I'm going to make a faux foot right about here. So this way it actually looks like a product instead of just a flat disc. I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. That's the design we're gonna go with. Now, because we need to make sure that the failure rate is low, we're just gonna make extras.
Much later.
Feels like they're dry enough now. Let's check the bottom. If we can make a fingernail mark in there without any interruptions to the form. Oh yeah, we're fine. We can trim these. We now need to trim these individually, and they're just about ready to trim. Now we don't want to trim these down all the way, because as I said before, we do need to keep some heft about them. We need them to be heavy so that they don't kind of move around when the cats and whatever's drinking or eating out of them. At some extent, I do know the raccoons are going to get to this as well, and I don't want them to just move it all over the place. So unlike my usual work where I try and make it at least medium to light, we need to make sure we don't trim off too much. So let's flatten this out first and see if we can make any type of foot. Okay, we flattened it out pretty well, but I don't think we're going to be able to make an actual foot. When I tap on this, I can feel more vibration than normal. So I'm gonna leave this just non-footed. And I think, just for consistency, we're gonna do that to all of them. All right, all nice and trimmed. Nice flat bottom, good, thick, heavy. They're about 2+ pounds each, I would say. Maybe even bordering on 2 pounds for the lighter one like this, and 2.5 for this one here. We're gonna let these dry again because they are flat things, and even though it's winter and there's lots of moisture in the air where I live, I still don't want these to dry too fast or too unevenly because flat things tend to crack when that happens. So we're gonna wait for about a week or so, come back to these, and put them in the old firebox. Okay, now that Keesha's bowls are out of the kiln, let's take a look. This one came out pretty good. I expected the red to kind of combine with coastal blue and make something else, but they seem like they kind of rejected each other, so, you know. I think this one over here is pretty much just straight up coastal blue, and you can't see it too much because it's a darker clay body. You can see where it got kind of light right there. That's what I was looking for all across, but I can't really be too mad because, you know, I did put it on a darker clay body. We do have to hurry though, because someone has shown up and she does want her num-nums now. Keesha, please, you are on camera. Keesha!
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Let's give her the good one here. Keesha, why you run away every single time? And then maybe if we're patient. Okay, I'm gonna walk away and leave the camera on. And maybe if we're patient, we can get a really good shot of Keesha, my stray cat. Come on, bro, take the bait. There you go. Who's a good Keesha?
Thank you for your patronage.
I don't know dog breeds, because I don't breed dogs. Because it's eugenics with extra steps.